Hello everyone, so I'm doing the challenge activity 5.15.1, reading and outputting strings from chapter 5. This should be the variables and assignments. So for this challenge problem, what we need to do is we need to get in a first name and a last name from input, and then output last name, comma, and then space, first name. So I think a good way to approach this is just to go backwards. So let's start with printing the... Oh, it's in caps. It's weird, it doesn't want you to write on certain lines, it's just like there's like an empty line here, whatever. So if you're going to print last name, comma, first name, how would we do that? We would do system.out.println, and we do last name plus comma plus first name. Right? So now we just need to get a string into last name and a string into first name so we can print it. So let's assume that we have an input like Maya Jones, right? Well, earlier in this chapter we went over all the different uses for scanner.next and scanner.nextLine from the input library. So they have two different uses. So if we have scanner.nextLine, what that does is it'll get, we have like Maya Jones and some stuff as our input right here. Then it'll get up to the point where there's a new line character. And a new line character is a character which jumps from here to here. Like if you're thinking about any text editor, word processor like Microsoft Word, if you type a sentence and then, or let's say you type a paragraph and you want to jump to the next paragraph, you hit enter, right? Same thing in here. If you want to jump to the next line, you hit enter. Well, the way that that's stored inside of the word processor or text editor is with what's called a new line character, right? So when you use scanner.nextLine, it reads all the way up from here, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. Let's say this is back down here. And it goes, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, and then from here it reaches the end of a line, and then it reaches a new line character that jumps it to over here. Ignore the indentation, but you know what I mean. It jumps from here to here. And once it reaches that new line character, then it stops reading and says, okay, all this stuff that I had selected, that goes into the string. Like, if we did first name, scanner.nextLine in this case, then first name would be Maya Jones. Well, that's obviously not what we want, because we want Maya as the first name and Jones as the last name, not just one long name. And we're expecting an input like this, where it just has a space in the middle, not a new line. So if we use scanner.nextLine, we would get the full name into the first name, and not just the first name. So what we want is we want to do scanner.next. And what this does is it skips any leading white space, or white space is just another fancy term for new lines and spaces, like anything that's not text, right? So just white space, like the background's white, it's the white space between the characters, right? So scanner.next skips any leading white space until it reaches the first character. So it's like, so imagine that this space actually is here for a moment, or we can actually just add some space. It'll go, okay, reading, skip, 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 skip. Oh, okay, here's the first letter, and it continues with the letters and characters until it reaches another space. It's like, oh, we reached another space, so this will be our first name. And so now let's do last name and do the same thing. And then the last name starts from here where we stopped the last time. And it goes, okay, skip any leading white space, which would be this space right here between Maya and Jones. And then it goes, okay, I found a letter. So here's what we want to input. It goes Jones. Oh, and then we reach the end. And usually I think here there would be like a new line because you'd be on a terminal and it would say print your name, and then you'd write Maya Jones and hit enter, and it would count the new line as another character. So it would go until it reaches that new line, which is another white space character. It says, oh, okay, I'll stop. So Maya goes into first name, and Jones goes into last name. So then all we have to do is just use the ability in Java to add strings together, where we can have one string and then add it to another string and add it to another string, and it just concatenates the strings, which means that they put them one after the other. So we do last name, comma, first name, which is the format we want, and let's see if this works. It's possible that I completely screwed this up and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Yep, and that works. So hopefully I explained that pretty well. Yeah, and if you have any questions, you can always put them below this video. Thank you. Have a nice day.